Hello, my name is Michael Zhu, and today I'm going to talk to you about information management during the operational phase of an asset. In the AECO industry, that being architectural, engineering, construction, and operations, the operational expenditure, or OPEX, also sometimes referred to as revenue expenditure, is expenditure incurred as a result of the day-to-day operations of a business. Operational expenditure might include expenditures such as wages, utilities costs, maintenance and repairs, rent, sales, general and administrative expenses, as defined by Buildings Designs Wiki. Put simply, this is the life cycle phase of the asset post-handover, where the information package known as the Asset Information Model is utilized for the purpose of operating and maintaining the asset for the duration of time until decommissioning or even disaster. The significance of the OPEX phase of an asset is that the information management procedures and requirements are contingent to an existing asset and not a greenfield build. Hence, the focus would be on factors such as recording information in relation to the maintenance, disposal, decommissioning, or demolition of an asset, which would prompt a revision to the asset information model as the state of the asset changes. If you have seen my previous video on asset information management in the CapEx phase of construction, this diagram would be familiar to you. If you haven't seen the other video, I would recommend you watch that first, as they are very much two sides of the same coin. In the UK, the PAS 1192 Part 3 specification was developed to set out the framework for collaborative working on BIM-enabled projects in the operational expenditure phase of a project. At the strategy level, client need would be defined by the employer's information requirement document. This sets the tone of what the client expects to be delivered with regards to the changes that are to be made to the existing asset. This could be maintenance work, augmentation, replacement works, etc. Once these requirements have been formalized by client and contractor, corresponding execution and delivery plans should be drawn up which specify the roles and responsibilities allocated to individuals or organizations that are due to carry out the necessary works to satisfy the client's requirements. It is important to note that the way these responsibilities are allocated to individuals or organizations will depend on the complexity of the asset or portfolio and the asset management system of the organization. Hence, it may be necessary for organizations to undertake a gap analysis to assess existing skill sets against the requirements defined within the PAS document. Now, once the detailed delivery plan has been defined, work commences in the operational phase, during which any changes and additions to the asset must be recorded in the asset information model in order to maintain a fully accurate, up-to-date data model of the physical asset. It is important to note here that links and cross-references between the asset information model and existing enterprise systems should be used instead of duplicating data or information. This is done in order to maintain what is known as a single source of truth. This diagram shows the relationship between elements of information management. The organizational information requirements are conveyed to external contractors or in-house work teams through task or project-specific asset information requirements. It is important to note here that these decisions are made based on information within the asset information model. So if the information within the AIM is insufficient or unsuitable to satisfy the OIR, the organization will have to find a way to acquire the necessary information. With BIM Level 2, the exchange of information should still be file-based, and the process should be a consistent exchange between the provider of the information and the organization that is responsible for the asset information model. If there is no regulation as to what information populates the asset information model, the lake of data, so to speak, will quickly become polluted with unnecessary, irrelevant, or even wrong data. This would result in an instant distrust towards the information in the AIM and render the whole process pointless. In terms of information exchange with the asset information model, it is important that the organization clearly defines the format of the data being exchanged. For example, if the COBie schema is used for information exchange, then the content of the COBie files should be determined by the AIR, or Asset Information Requirements. More information on the Asset Information Management process can be found in Section 4 of the PAS 1192 Part 3 document. If you want a more granular view of how the common data environment interacts with the asset information model, I would recommend reading Section 5 of the standard. To summarize, the main principles of data transfer in the OPEX phase of an asset's lifecycle include the following. 1. Creating an asset information model for an existing asset or portfolio of assets. 2. Exchanging asset information with a PIM. 3. Record information relating to the disposal, decommissioning, or demolition of an asset. 4. Using the asset information model to support organizational requirements. 5. Revising the asset information model as the asset changes. And 6. Hold the asset information model as a resource for the organization. In conclusion, regardless of whether an asset was commissioned or acquired by your organization, it makes sense to have a centralized repository of data that allows the right people to have access to the relevant data at the right time in order to keep your asset running. That concludes this presentation. Thank you very much for listening.